I'll be gladly moderating the panel with 5 key experts today to discuss the challenges and opportunities for tech-driven sustainability and tech-driven building management systems. So, over the last decades, our industry has been massively transformed by technology. Today, we will explore the avenues of this transformation and get from our panel of experts the insights and the vision that will be required for the coming future. Let me introduce our panelists first of all. So we have Mr. Sam Ward, Global Product Director for Sound Controls. We have Mr. Laith, the General Manager of Nova. Mr. Borzan, Business Development Manager for Legrand. Mr. Zaza, the Executive Director of Dahua. And Mr. Michael Kuo, the President of MagTech. So gentlemen, I'm humbled to be with you again this year and to be able to moderate this panel and this discussion with you. So for the first question, I would like to address you, Laith, first. And get your views about the key challenges that you have been seeing in this industry related to integrating technology into sustainable building management.
Malik, thank you very much for the question. Before I answer the question, I'd like to reinstate the definition of sustainable buildings, which is a project or development that meets the desire of the present without compromising the future generation ability to meet their own. And what is better than utilizing the advanced technology and integrating that into the building management to achieve our sustainability goals. Yes, there are lots of challenges, and I think our colleagues have touched base on some of them in previous speeches. I would like to start with knowledge, which is one of the most important factors of sustainability. But that will continue to be a challenge due to the lack of standards and regulations in understanding how green buildings perform, how innovative technologies function, and the reliability of those factors. Second challenge will be the availability of specialized and certified professionals. And again, that will continue to be a big challenge for the industry due to the lack of standards and regulation to measure the sustainability performance of sustainability industry and outcomes. A third challenge will be the construction industry sector, which it's been they have the resistance to change to adopt sustainability because it takes them out of their focus on their major areas, which is schedule and budget, and they look at the sustainability approaches as a burden to their performance. I need to add as well the cybersecurity issues, which has become a challenge for lots of operators and end users with the threats that implies to their operations. And last, I really wanted to add to top of that is the initial cost of investment to turn your building to a sustainable building. That becomes a challenge to secure that.
Thank you very much, Laith. Thank you for your insight. So we talked about the cost of investment. We talk about the SIBCA Connect capabilities with all the new generation of technologies, and including AI. Over the last few years, we have seen a breakthrough in terms of artificial intelligence. Mr. Zaza, I would like to get your views on for smart cities, for building management in general, the role that you see AI playing in the coming years.
Honestly speaking, today is it's an era of the big data and metadata, to be honest with you. And it's all about how much information that people are collecting. The system should help to collect this information. The added value in this case will come in different positions. One from them is sufficiency, of course. The system should be sufficient and efficient at the same time, to be honest with you. Also, I need to add, like, managing and controlling the data will be something very important here in this case. As long also with analyzing and do a lot of analytic will help the system to expand. All of these things will give an added value to improve and keep developing the system, especially in smart community and safe city or smart city in general.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zan. And you touched on a key point, which is the data management. With all this data that we are gathering and utilizing for business, when it comes to ethical use of this data and data privacy management in particular, What are your views on the pivotal aspects of data management and data privacy in sustainable building management?
It is very important as well, to be honest with you. When we are talking about the AI, we are collecting a lot of information. So you touch a very important point here. Essentially, first of all, we need to keep in mind that protection, the sensitive data, is something very important for the client. So this is the first point. Second one, we need to encrypt it in a good way, end-to-end encryption, especially for the sensitive personal data of the people. As well, in this case, we need to make sure that the system transparency when it came to a component inside are well transparent in this case. I believe if we implement also a very strong standards when it came to the privacy protection, will protect the visitor of your smart community or safe city or smart city, wherever you go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zaza. So we talked about AI, we talked about data privacy, data management, and this morning we saw the potential of SIBCA Connect and the ability to aggregate all this data through IoT. IoT is pivotal for our industry, and Leith, back to you. I would like to know your views on the key role that IoT will play in the future of our industry.
Of course, Malik. Interesting enough, I was introduced to the term IoT 10 years ago, Internet of Things, and others and I, we were excited to understand what IoT means and how we can implement the technology in improving our qualities and project deliveries. Today, understanding the capabilities of IoT in enabling real-time connections to building systems and devices, which will allow building managers to get an accurate and updated reports that they can utilize in optimizing their building operations and achieve significant cost savings and meet their sustainability goals. The importance of IoT in implementation in regards to sustainability comes really from one last statement I'd like to add is the global buildings actually generate 42% of the global energy and emissions. So if we focus on utilizing the IoT in a sufficient way, sustainable, that will help us to reduce that global emissions and energy globally.
Thank you very much, Leith. Thank you. So your last point in the previous question was about cost of investment and the barrier that this can represent. Over the last decades, a lot of investment has been done in previous generation of buildings. And Michael, I would like to have your views on how to transition from older buildings into a tech-driven sustainable building management and integrate these technologies into previous generation of buildings.
I think, first of all, the question doesn't really apply to UAE because most of the buildings here are fairly new. But, for this particular questions here, it is easy to say, sensor-based, or say, okay, optimize using the natural lights and integrate the new energy efficient devices. But if it is that easy, I already answered the questions. So I think, first of all, we need to define what's older buildings. Every geographical areas has a different definitions and different age of the buildings. Some of them are 10, 15 years. Some of them are actually over 100 years. Especially where I came from, United States, on the East Coast, a lot of buildings are actually more than 100 years old. So over here, I think what we need to do is to define, whether refurbishing is the key or maybe retrofitting is the key, depending on, a lot of the factors that you have to evaluate. So, so what is the old buildings? Usually the old building, they are sturdy, they are pretty stubborn. And they use very good materials, which means, it's really hard to convert. A lot of times, that means, there's a very much of the challenges, for the older buildings because it's difficult. So once you define that, and then you'll be able to find out, what to do with the buildings. And then the very first step is to evaluate the properties or the projects, from the financial point of view to determine, how much we really want to invest onto it. And of course, from the economic situations, and also most important part is the governance, the regulations that apply to each different geographic areas and the locations. And this will dictate the use of technologies, the equipment that needs to be used, and also what will be the most suitable system to apply to that buildings. So it goes back to the connectivities, using the least amount of efforts to achieve the maximum results. Again, I think we'll be going to wireless, so it goes back to wireless as well. And using the IoT devices to cover and also go beyond two-dimensional control into a three-dimensional controls. They're fully utilizing the sensors to create the maximum interconnected networks, and also using the modern technologies, lighting, to create human-centric lighting effects. Also to take the advantage of the edge computing to minimize the latencies, because you do not want any latencies during the control environment. And of course, create integral control platforms, which, using the scalable and also modularized control systems. So I think this will create a more sustainable buildings. But I think most important part, let's not forget, for this particular event over here, we're talking about sustainabilities and all that. So we also need to create advanced prevention measures on the fire alarms and also emergency egress lightings, which can make this newer building more sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you. So sustainability is all about data and how we can leverage the data in building management. So Sam, regarding the key role that you can see in terms of machine learning, in terms of, again, artificial intelligence capabilities in the future of building management system, what are your perspectives and views with regard to that?
So I'll try not to talk about what Richard spoke about earlier on and also the UL presentation that you saw, but a lot of it's very, very relevant. So in order to try and answer this question for a bit of fun, I tried ChatGPT, but so far it couldn't answer it for us. So as far as AI goes, I think, like Laith was saying, one of the big issues we've now got is the Internet of Things means that we've got an awful lot of data. And as you saw earlier on from Richard's presentation, we're now trying to stick that data together. And what the role we see that AI starts to play for us as a business or from an industry's perspective is that whether we're making sensing products for fire detection or PIRs or temperature sensors, it's sensing rather than switching. So there's a lot of information that's variable coming in, so it's dynamic. This room is a dynamic situation. Yesterday it would have been very different in here. Temperature, population, humidity, all those things will change what and how we might want to run this room. What we don't have as a group or as an industry is probably the amount of people we need to process that information and make the changes we want to make dynamically. So from a Johnson Controls perspective, we don't have an abundance of people pouring through data. And for us, that's where AI adds huge value. If we can have AI, obviously with balance and checks, so we need someone to make sure that if the AI system tries to change the sensitivity of a fire alarm in this room, someone's going to need to sign something off, or we're going to need some sort of balance on checks on limits. But if we don't have AI, who is going to check that? Who is going to adjust this building's requirements, temperature, humidity, airflow, or fire alarm sensitivity? So AI for us is going to be that kind of free employee, that person going through the data quickly and efficiently. And you saw from Richard's presentation earlier on, I think it was 60%, the numbers were massive, some of the savings. And I think in the UL presentation, we were talking about buildings contributing 40% of the energy that we use. So if we talk about where the big savings are going to be and where the efficiency is, that's got to be where we want to put the resource and the never sleeping, never taking a day off, never going off sick person that can look at that data for us.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks a lot. And one particularity of UAE is in particular the diversity of populations that we have in this country. And regarding the sustainable building management system, Mr. Bazan, I just wanted to ask you about the way to have inclusive systems and the capability to address diverse populations with technology in building management systems.
Yes. So as we are speaking about diverse populations, in fact, ensuring this kind of inclusivity is very crucial, is very key. And it involves, in fact, a very multifaceted approach that we should think about. And today I would like to zoom in a little bit on a few of them, because there are many. And first one is sustainability and product diversity. At design stage, when we are speaking about products, we need to make sure that these kind of products are adapted to diverse populations, to diverse profiles, diverse people. And we shouldn't take into consideration, in fact, several aspects such as usability, accessibility, and cultural relevance. All of these aspects should also maintain or contain an aspect of energy efficiency and energy reducing. If we go to the second topic, it's accessibility standards. So thinking about the international accessibility and about international standards, we should again come back again that people have different abilities, and we should think about that as well when we are speaking about particular solutions. And of course, their inclusivity plays a very big role. A third thing is community engagement. So actively involving diverse communities into the decision-making process. We should ask various stakeholders what in fact is the need, what is the solution that people are looking for into diverse stakeholders. Global presence, we do understand that today here on the market we need something in another country or another geographical area, we need other needs. So these are the main aspects of inclusivity that we should take into account, and all of these aspects build in fact the fundament of successful project solutions that are being inclusive in as well as commercial projects and residential projects, where, for example, home automation, gastro management systems, or even a nurse call systems needs a different approach. So let me finish like this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bazan. So during this panel, we touched on a number of topics, starting with the core challenges and the people-centric aspect in terms of expertise, in terms of resistance to change, and the cost of investment that is required at the beginning, the role of AI, data management, ethical use of data, the ability to also leverage IoT as the way to aggregate all this information, how to embed these technologies into older buildings and the capabilities to retrofit some of the buildings, and also the inclusivity and accessibility that is required. To close this panel, I would like to ask you the last question, Sam. It's the year of COP28. It's the time to project ourselves into the future and for the coming years. I would like to have your views about and your vision about how technology embedded into sustainable building management system will evolve in the coming years, and how do you see that growing in the future?
So I think I'd start off with the comment that Mr. Ibrahim said when we first arrived, which was whatever we're going to do, it can't be buzzwords, whether that be Internet of Things, integration, sustainability, they can't be buzzwords. We've got to be the change. And I think that if I draw some comparisons, I would say, I think a lot of the people in this room are probably old enough to remember the old Nokia phones with buttons. One day the buttons went away, and then your phone was just a software platform that you could do emails, take photos, surf the internet, do whatever you wanted, because there was no longer these restrictions, and it all started to come together. And I think one of the problems we have specifically in life safety is that we're driven by legislation. So the reason that this facility has got a fire alarm is because it's got to have a fire alarm. And that means that because it's life safety, the industries can be quite slow to adapt. And I think it was Richard talking earlier on about the fact that things used to be done in silos. So you used to have your access control or your low voltage or your fire alarms, everything would be done separately. The reality is, for me, just like our mobile phones, we took the buttons off. We've got to get to a point where we talk about a building, we talk about a dynamic single property with lots of sensors all coming together in one go. And I think that's going to come from the approvals bodies like UL, like the contractors that we work with when they hand out the packages for quotes, for estimations, for designs. I think that our customers like SIBCA will need to expand on the services that we deliver to a building so that you're a single point of contact to give that complete solution. And we believe that eventually you'll have building sensors rather than fire detectors, for example, in this instance. And when we work with end users in some of these big data centers, we're already being asked, why does your device that's all around the building not take the humidity or the airflow, or we don't really have an answer for that other than well, we kind of don't get asked for that at the moment. And I think that we need to be that change if we're going to drive things forward. Some of that will be creating the demand, some of that will be being led by the customers. And to be led by the customers, then we need the developers, the investors, the end users, and the governments to start asking those questions for us.
Thank you, Sam. And with that, I would like to thank you all and really appreciate your insights, your wisdom. I'm pretty sure that the audience as well gets a lot of benefit from this session. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a great end of the day, and once again, thank you very much, gentlemen.